Okay, it started. Hi, I am Gwen Raimundi, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist associate here in the state of Washington, and I specialize in grief, trauma, embodiment, and all of their intersections, and have developed an approach to help process trauma called trauma-informed embodiment. And I offer classes in this approach, programs online at various points throughout the year. And the next one, the basics one, is coming up on May 1st. And today's video is the second in a series introducing some of the things that we'll be talking about in that program and that we will be focusing on. So the essay that goes with this video, there's a link if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link down below there to see it. The essay to this talks a lot about what self-regulation is and what it means. And so what I really wanted to focus on in the video is that the idea that self-regulation originally in human existence, in animal existence, is not a learned behavior. It is pretty innate and pretty instinctual. As humans, we have become, quote, civilized, which means that we have trained that self-regulating out of us, out of ourselves. It wasn't modeled for most of us by our caregivers. Most of us were shunned or shamed for trying to self-regulate when we were younger. In the variety of ways that we may have done that, be that thumb sucking or having our binky or a special blankie and rubbing it in a certain way, like any of those things we tend to shame children for after they are a certain age. And so it gets it gets trained out of us how to listen to our bodies and how to calm ourselves down. Many of us get stuck in a freeze position, freeze situation, when we start to go into overwhelm. And in that freeze state, we dissociate. So we are no longer present in the moment. We are no longer feeling our bodies. We are no longer feeling our emotions. We are no longer here. Right? So to learn to self-regulate can feel incredibly daunting. It can feel incredibly terrifying. And I want to note that. I think it's really important for us to recognize that when we start on this work, when we start doing this work of calming our nervous systems, of connecting to boundaries, of coming into center and ground and being present in the moment, in space, in relationship, that is all new and different and not at all what we know, and that is scary. That can be really scary. I have shared the story, I don't know how many times, of how with my current therapist, who does a particular type of somatic therapy, every time I would go in for my session every week, she would ask, okay, are you ready to do this therapy? And I would say, nope, I don't want to. Or she'd ask if I wanted to, and I'd say, no, I don't want to do that, right? Because I don't think anybody really wants to do this work. It is challenging. It does, it is uncomfortable, and it can be really, really messy. And for those of us who have trauma histories, right, and especially relational or developmental or childhood trauma histories with someone who was supposed to be a caregiver of some kind, that whole idea of being present in our bodies, in relationship with the other person, in space, is just like, holy crap, I can't do that. That's too scary. That's so overwhelming to actually feel the sensations in my body. So part of what I believe learning self-regulation is really about, another piece of it, is learning to titrate, right? Is learning how, okay, I can feel this sensation for 5 seconds, and then I get to check out, right? Or now I can feel it for 10 seconds. Now I can feel it for 30. Now I can feel it for a full minute. Now 5 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, right? I don't think we ever get to, maybe some people do. I'm not expecting it for myself in my lifetime. I don't believe we can ever really get to that place of being totally present 24/7, right? Except when we're sleeping, of course. So, you know, 16 hours a day. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's realistic. I believe our systems actually need us to check out every now and then and not be present so that they can kind of self-regulate on their own, right? So doing those things that are often shunned, but doing them mindfully and intentionally, right? The things like watching a trashy TV show or a really funny movie, or reading that really light, not intellectual, not heavy book, or whatever the thing is that we do to just kind of zone out. I think that's important to do too. I think that's part of our learning to self-regulate, is to be able to go, okay, I need to just not be here right now. I need to go someplace else. When that becomes an issue, right, is when we're always doing that, is when we're always checking out, right? But doing it an hour, couple hours a day, or in like really stressful situations for even longer during a day when we can, I think that's part of how we learn how to connect to our systems and how to calm them down. So, I really wanted to acknowledge that this work can be incredibly challenging, and it can be really terrifying because it's new and it's different, and it's not what any of us, most of us, I'm sure there are some people, but it's not what most of us were raised to know and learn and understand. It wasn't modeled for us, right? We weren't taught how to be present. Most of us as kids were told to sit down and shut up, that we were to be seen and not heard, right? Many of us were taught that. So I want to honor that doing this work is a really big step. And I want to invite all of you to honor yourselves in that and give yourselves compassion for that. And a big pat on the back, too, for being willing to explore this work and being willing to do something different than what you learned and what you know, and to step into that unknown space that can be so scary and is so hard for people with trauma to step into. Like, it really is. And it's okay, right? We come in, we come out, we come in, we come out. And the more we're able to come into the work, the easier it becomes, right? The more part of our cellular memory, our muscle memory it becomes. The more we realize that being present in our bodies is actually not going to kill us, right? We can actually do that. This is big. And it takes time. And it takes practice. Okay, so that is today's video. I hope that these essays and videos are helpful for you. If you would like to learn more about the Trauma-Informed Embodiment Basics program that starts on the May 1st, there's a link, again, if you're in YouTube, there's a link down below in the description. And if you're reading this on my blog or in my newsletter, there's a link there down below there for you too. Okay? Okay, sending you love, and I will connect with you again next week. Okay.